This is the Johny Cleveland Podcast, all things Cleveland sports, with your host, John Suchan. Good morning or good day, everybody. It is Thursday, June, is it 18th? Welcome aboard to the Fanatical Elves Network and my Johny Cleveland podcast. Hope everyone is having a great week as a whole. It's been my first full week on vacation. Yes, I have 6 weeks from my other job. School counselor by day, podcaster by night. Thanks for coming along on the ride today. We have, if you're watching us right now live on Facebook and YouTube, the X, Twitter, we're everywhere. We are a podcast that focuses on the Cleveland Brownies. And also my Johny Cleveland show here, we focus on things beyond just the Browns. There's a lot to talk about this week. And we've been tackling this podcasting network for several years. We're not in any contest. I know there's some podcasters out there that are in some contests to be the best podcast in the land. Well, we're not in that competition. Sorry about that, folks, but we appreciate those of you who do tune in and watch us, our pretty faces, and listen to us occasionally on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, all those podcasting networks. If you just type in Cleveland Browns podcast or the Fanatical Elves Network, you're going to find us and follow us, subscribe to us, click those buttons so you'll never miss one of these fantastic shows. Steve Gill had his show earlier this week, Dog Pound South. We have Rod Bloom and his brother Jeff. They'll be coming on with their Browns Blitz later this week. Sam the Man has his Browns breakdowns. Earlier in the week, I had my coffee jolt. We'll do another one of those tomorrow morning. It is almost noon today. I think I'm going to go to the pool today with my son. So finally, the skies have cleared. We had some interesting weather yesterday. Many of you in the Midwest, lots of severe storms and whatnot, especially in the evening. So hopefully everyone's okay. I saw that, was it Effingham, Illinois? Don't know if anyone's been through Effingham off of I-70. A lot of you, if you've traveled that way from Ohio through to Missouri, St. Louis, all that, you run through wonderful Effingham, where there's dozens of hotels that you can stay at on your travels westward or eastward if you're coming from the other direction. But they had some severe weather, had some tornadoes that direction. So hopefully everyone is okay. But man, some of the videos and stuff you see, some of these people that are doing these documentaries and following these severe storms, it's pretty intense. You watch some of this video and you're just like, wow, they're driving into these tornadoes practically, and it's like, stop, don't. And then you see them stop, but then you see other silly people driving their vehicles, like even tractor trailers, like into these storms. I'm like, what are they doing? It's absolutely insanity. So hopefully those people are okay too. But all right, so if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, all you've been hearing since the end of the mini camp has been about this new kid out there, Brendan Swordsby, the gambler, Johnny Manziel 2.0, who was caught, in the past for his $1 million problem that he has. And there's been a lot of information about this. This kid was at Cincinnati prior to that, had started a year at Indiana before Indiana got good. And then he transferred to Cincinnati, and he had some decent years at the school. You want to go back and look at the stats, go ahead and look at the stats. I will just tell you, if you do look at them, they were decent, but nothing straight away that's going to say, whoa, he's a first-round talent. He's going to be the next franchise quarterback. Now, we've heard a lot this week about, he's a talent. I've talked to executives, and he's a talent. He's going to be he could be the guy. We've heard this endlessly if you're a Cleveland fan for decades. trying to find that next franchise quarterback. I think we had one in Baker Mayfield, and I know that whole thing kind of ran out of gas, especially when he got injured and whatnot. The Deshaun Watson debacle since then has just been putrid, and I know Browns fans are yearning for more success, and they want to find that wonder at quarterback that's going to take them to the promised land. Well, it's not Sorsby, and let me tell you, I'll tell you that up front. If you're a lifelong Browns fan like me, you should know at this point that Sorsby is not the guy. So some of you out there, especially those of you in radio and other podcasts, specifically radio, like Anthony Lima on 97.1 The Fan, great program with Ken Carman, but Anthony Lima is an idiot for trying to share his opinion about Sorsby. More than just Sorsby, but he's also specifically was talking about Shedeur Sanders, which I have a bone to pick with him in a moment. But Sorsby is a mess, dude. He gambled a lot. $900,000 is reported. I'm sure it was a lot more. He had friends and family doing bets for him illegally under the table when he was at Indiana, when he was at Cincinnati. And then you get an agent of his who's screaming the last day, "Oh, it's not his problem. He goes to church." That's what he said. He goes to church, so he's got to be a good guy. Secondly, it's Cincinnati's problem. What? Are we not taking accountability for our own actions? Oh, it's the blame game again. Let's not blame anybody, but let's blame everybody around the problem. Look, I don't know Sorsby from Adam. You don't know Sorsby, Adam. I've never met him. You've never met him. But the idea that this kid has gambled $1 million, and I know some of you will say, "Oh, well, gambling's not anything as bad as what Deshaun Watson did." Well, those are all allegations too. So you're picking little arguments, especially in La La Land on social media posts that are just ridiculous. Here's the thing. For me, Sorsby's a headache already. And the Browns don't need any of that right now. They are already in this quarterback competition between Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson. So the idea that they even would consider bringing him in, it's difficult for me to understand that. Now, I know what Andrew Berry has come out and said about giving people second chances, and he's got a laundry list of people that he's given second chances to. But you already heard Todd Monken, the 61-year-old head coach of the Cleveland Browns, the new head coach, say 2 weeks ago that it's a slippery slope if they go down that road with Sorsby, that stay far away from it. He said that. Now, I understand that his general manager and Andrew Berry said things since, but I hope to God that the Browns organization is on the same page with this. If they take Sorsby, I will be greatly disappointed. It would be here's the other thing. He's applied for the supplemental draft, which isn't a guarantee. Like the NFL has to agree to have a such supplemental draft, which I don't know if they've agreed to that yet. Then you have these NFL teams who do bidding on these players in the supplemental draft. So they will say, okay, I'll give you a third or I'll give you a fourth round for this kid, depending on the order that was left at the end of last season, like as far as their success. So the Browns are toward the end because they had a pretty crappy season. So they'll have an opportunity to put a bid on this kid. And there's been speculation about that, put a third round, put a second round, put a fourth round. What are you going to put on this kid if you really want him? The people that are all in favor of Sorsby are all talking about, well, he's a talent. He's a talent, Why do we always go? We just go to that. Like, well, we've heard from executives that he's a talent. We've heard from his agent, he's a talent. Well, go back and watch the tape for yourself. I know people have said, well, if he spent another year, like if he'd stayed and maybe tried to go to Texas Tech, but he probably would have been suspended. And that whole hoopla, Texas Tech and other colleges not wanting to play, all added to this where we're at right now, where he's now wanting to enter the supplemental draft, which again, it's not set in stone. Some of you just think, oh, it's just going to happen. It's not. It's if you go read the rules about supplemental drafts and such, the NFL has to agree. You think, I don't know. Like there's a lot of people talking about a lot of things behind closed doors that we're not have any part of. So we don't really know. But on the outside, just looking in, this kid is a handful already. And the Browns already have had a handful of crap that they've gone through that they've brought on themselves. This would just be another horrible, horrible, horrible situation. And for those of you who are supporting this and want to put down a bit, I'm sorry, I just can't agree with that. I think it's just bad business. And the Browns would be smart to listen to their older generational head coach now, Todd Monken, who says, no, don't do it. He's already said that publicly. Don't do it. So are you going to then take Sorsby and then you're going to create a divide? Oh, they'll come back out and if they take Sorsby, Monken will come out and he'll say, oh no, I'm with the team. But he's being told to say that. It's a mirage, right? So I hope to God that they stay away from this kid. It's bad business. You know, I have nothing against church and all of that. I'm, religiously all this stuff, but to come out for the ages say, oh, well, he's a good kid. He goes to church. Okay, well, that's a great one. Please, the kid did this to himself. Do you understand that? Do people understand that? Those of you who are trying to give this kid a pass, and I know he's a kid and it's because he's young. He makes mistakes. Kids make mistakes. Kids in their 20s, they make mistakes. Look, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just don't want anything to do with this kid. He makes amends. He turns it around. He can be great for another team. If he successfully goes to a Super Bowl someday, so be it. We can all cry and be upset as Browns fans as we've been for the last 1,000 years. It's only because, he didn't come to Cleveland that he's successful. Look, get behind your team, root for your team, root for the Brownies, root for Cleveland. But those of you who are continually like, oh, we got to take this kid, just stop. It's not worth the headache. Not worth the headache. I want nothing to do with this kid. If the Browns end up, like I said, bringing him in, I'll be greatly disappointed. Now, the other part of this that just drives me batty are these people out there, Anthony Lima and Ken Carman. I love Ken Carman. Ken Carman's been on the Browns Blitz with Rod and Jeff, and I'm sure Anthony Lima's a good guy. But he was dissing Shedeur Sanders the other day. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, he said, like, Sanders wins at the end of the season. He went 3-4. He played in 7 games, started 7 games. The Browns went 3-4 in Shedeur Sanders' time. He said that those games don't really count. Like, we're fooling ourselves as Browns fans if we put any accountability or any sort of merit into those wins. Like, anybody can just win an NFL football game. I mean, what are you talking about? You're just boneheaded and stupid with that comment. I mean, look, you might not like Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, you really don't. But, and I do support Shedeur Sanders. I think that he has a great upside, a great ceiling, lots of things that are positive. But for you to throw him under the bus and basically tell us as Browns fans that those games don't count, who are you? You're not really a Browns fan if you're talking like that. Those games counted, and hey, we won 5 games. Some of you are pissed off because we won those extra games at the end of the season and we didn't get a higher draft pick. What kind of fools are you? What kind of fans are you? You want your team to be successful. So those of you who are always constantly belittling this team and saying, well, now we don't want to win these games because we want a higher draft pick, forget it. Just stop. And for Lima to, for you to talk about Shedeur Sanders and saying that those games don't count with a putrid offensive line, with everybody, the injuries, everything that was happening. You beat the Squealers, you beat the Bengals, and they're divisional opponents, but they don't count. They don't count. I mean, that's ridiculous. I just don't understand it. It's disturbing that people talk like that, and it's disturbing that people aren't giving Shedeur Sanders more credit than he deserves. And now he's working his ass off. He's in this competition, and they haven't announced who's going to be the starter. There's a lot of people who are saying that, Deshaun is likely the guy just because he's the veteran, and the Browns are trying to kind of give Shedeur more opportunities as they get into training camp at the end of July, to maybe get that a starting job in week one. I mean, obviously, where I'm at with this. Shador should be starting in week one. He should have the season to play the season out. And those of you who are like, well, the Browns, they're always going through 4 or 5 quarterbacks. Just that's what happens all the time. No, it doesn't have to happen that way. And I'm going to trust that if you put Shador Sanders in there in week one, he's going to make it through the season. You got to believe that. Stop playing the shenanigans and this musical chairs with the quarterbacks. And the Browns would be, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. I get part of where, the head coach Munkin right now, he probably knows Deshaun a little bit, and that experience probably appeals to him as a head coach and knowing that he's been in the league. But I've already talked about this with Deshaun. I mean, he has 19 games he's played for the Cleveland Browns over the last 4 seasons. 19 games. And he was terrible before he injured himself at the end of the previous season and was out all of last year. Let Deshaun be the third string quarterback. Put Shador in there. Ride with Dylan Gabriel if you want to again, or bring in another guy. Trade Dylan Gabriel to Atlanta and move on. Give Shador his props. Give that opportunity. There are so many good quarterbacks coming in, at least right now, coming into this college season that are projected to could be first and second round picks. Many of these mock drafts have 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks being drafted in the first round. There is talent. Dante Moore, Arch Manning. So there are quarterbacks there for the taking. Give Shador an opportunity this year and let him ride the season out. Give him that chance and stop with the back and forth. And for God's sakes, those of you again out there that are bashing Shador and saying that those games somehow didn't count, that they didn't you ever play college or pro football? Okay, cool. Then just shut up, right? It's like when you say stupid stuff like that, it's just, you're trying to draw attention to yourself. I get it. You're trying to draw clicks. I understand. I'm in the business too. I'm not as popular. We're not as popular as you guys at the big wig radio programming, because there's a lot. I've already said this too. There's a lot of opportunity. Like every time I try to turn one of those programs on, I can last about 5 minutes because of the ridiculous takes. Now there are some really good quality guys who speak honestly and are easier to listen to because they don't talk nonsense, but they're few and far between. But shout out to Ken Carmen, your buddy Anthony Lima. He needs to learn how to say nicer things about Shador and give him props for winning 3 NFL football games last year. Okay, let's pause for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back here on the Johny Cleveland podcast. Appreciate you tuning back in. It is June 18th, Thursday. I know I'm coming on a little early today, going to the pool later this afternoon. So beautiful sunny day. Wi-Fi. Hey, we're back. Hopefully you didn't lose us that long. You could hear me through that. So we are back here again on the Johny Cleveland podcast. So a couple other things. Just wanted to touch base with you before I let you guys all go this Thursday afternoon. I had a chance to go up to Cleveland with my beautiful wife. We had a trip up there to Cleveland and caught a Guardians game. And that was a lot of fun. The Guardians, that was a game they played on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. They won that game. They beat the Tigers 3-1, and great experience. Ran over the next day down to Rocky River to the Metro Parks there. And boy, there are so many great things in Cleveland that you can go on these trails and the places to eat. We ran over to Fat Cats, which is over in Tremont. I would encourage everybody to do that sometime. So that was a fun trip. And then Tuesday, we went down to Cincinnati. Now, I'm not a big Bengals or Reds fan, but I'm a kind of a soft Reds fan over the years. And I've explained this before in my Johnny Cleveland show that, I had best friends, Dan and his family, who grew up in Cincinnati, and they moved up to Worcester, Ohio, and when I was growing up. And so there were many summers that we would go down to catch one or two Reds games. So I have always appreciated going down there. It's a great city. And no, I know some of you are, Sam Weiss memories, but he, let that not hopefully affect your complete opinion of Cincinnati. It is a great town. I was looking at the populations of these cities. I didn't realize that basically now Cincinnati still has the largest metro area in the state of in Ohio. Now they count Kentucky, so I don't know if we can technically. I guess we can, but it says that there's 2.3 million people that live in Cincinnati, 2.2 that live here in Columbus, and 2.1 that live in Cleveland area. So all three cities are practically the same size. Interesting with their metro areas. Anyway, anywho, ran down to Cincinnati, got some La Rosa's pizza. We have a La Rosa's here in Columbus. I don't think they have any further north. They're primarily down there in Kentucky and Indiana and stuff. But La Rosa's is some dynamite pizza. I would urge you to check them out. Actually, it was cool. I posted that on social media, and La Rosa's actually reached out and asked if they could repost the photos that we put out there. And so that was cool. So shout out to La Rosa's Pizza. And La Rosa's, if you ever want to sponsor the Fanatical Elves Network, we would be on board with that. Um, so my wife got the spaghetti and meatballs dish. Great, great. They have like a sweet sauce, and then we got the deluxe pizza and just some good stuff there. Went to the game down in Cincinnati and met a friend down there, Don, and had a great time. Cincinnati is really a baseball town. I've talked about this before, but they really are a baseball town. They love their baseball. Now, it was an afternoon game, like 12:30 game, and it wasn't necessarily a packed house, but it was fun to be in that environment. They have a lot of interesting things there. Checked out some of their food things. There's a place called Montgomery's Inn, which is like barbecue. Got one of their pork sandwiches while I was down there, and just a fun environment. Beautiful day. It was pretty nice until we left, and then the storm started rolling in from out west yesterday with all that severe weather. But we beat the storms pretty much. But on the way home, the best part was that my wife and I grabbed a pint of Grater's a black raspberry chip ice cream. Ice cream. Shout out to Grater's. Grater's, if you'd like to sponsor us here on the Fanatical Elves Network, that would be fantastic as well. I have a Grater's like literally across the street that we can go to anytime we really want. But there's something special when you can go down to Cincinnati and get it. It just seems different. But we stopped at this gas station on the way back outside of a Kings Island, the amusement park down there, and ate that pint of black raspberry chip ice cream right there in the car. Wow, it was some good stuff. And so shout out to Graders, shout out to La Rosa's Pizza. I'd been dropped off earlier in the day by an Uber driver, and my wife came and picked me up downtown there. I walked up to the Fountain Square. If you're familiar with Cincinnati downtown, there's a place called Fountain Square, which is like the center of town. And so she picked me up there. There's a Grater's right there. That's where we got the pint of ice cream. But it was interesting because I was tracking her progress, and her car. We have a specific type of vehicle, and I was tracking that progress as she was getting close to me, and I knew she was coming around the corner. And lo and behold, there was an identical car like ours that was right in front of her. So as I approached what I thought was my vehicle with my wife in it, was some stranger in another car, and he had a look of like, "Who the hell are you?" And so it was a very awkward split second moment. So whoever you are, sorry that I scared the bejesus out of you. I My wife was the car right behind his, so it was a funny moment. One of those. I'm sure, like maybe you've had those moments where like you've at some store or grocery store or you've gone shopping and you come back to your car and maybe you see a car that's not exactly yours, like you think it's yours but it's not. Have you ever opened the door by accident, like, oh shit, that's not my car? And if you've ever had those moments, I'm sure you've felt that sort of, oh my god, embarrassment. So we're not breaking into cars these. I'm not encouraging anybody to do that, but I'm sure you've had some of those types of experiences. Um, so the only other couple other things I just wanted to touch on, the Cavs, they're not playing right now, but they are celebrating the 2016 team, LeBron and J.R. Smith and those guys, and not Kyrie. Kyrie is not there. Irving, I think from what it sounds like, he was invited, but he didn't come to the party, and JR brought that up. So that's an interesting situation there. They said basically that he's ghosted them. Kyrie's a very interesting cat. Here's my Diet Coke. Shout out to Diet Coke. So, anywho, they're celebrating right now, and it's kind of cool to see that. The 2016 team was such a magical group, and what it did for the city of Cleveland, and just boosted everyone's just their energy toward Cleveland and the championships. And we only got the one, but it was magical being down three games to one against Golden State to do that, and then they have the huge parade and all of that celebration. It was really a powerful moment in Cleveland sports history in recent years. So the other thing that's going on, obviously, if you haven't been hiding under a rock, is the World Cup. My Uber driver that picked me up, cool guy. He took me down to the Red Stadium yesterday, and he's from the Ivory Coast. And Ivory Coast is in the World Cup, and Ivory Coast won their game. There's 48 teams in the World Cup. If you don't know much about the World Cup, it is basically all these countries that play soccer or football, and it typically has been 32, but this year they expanded the tournament um, to 48, and so all the teams have all gone through their initial game and their group play. And so just some excitements there, some great games. The energy that you see from these players and the fans, just been really. The Ecuador played Ivory Coast. I was talking to this guy in the Uber, and if you watch any of that game, I mean, Ecuador had like there's a stadium filled with 80,000 people. Probably 70,000 of those people were from Ecuador. They're cheering for Ecuador. So it's just interesting to see that, and the energy that the fans bring, and the players, and seeing them sing their national anthems at the beginning of these games. It really is a spectacle. And those of you who continually bash, football, what it really is, football or soccer, especially if you're in America, you say, "Oh, we have the NFL, we have Major League Baseball, we have the NBA. We don't care about soccer." You're missing. You're really missing out, and that's an opportunity that I feel bad for you, because you're stubborn, you're snooty, and you're stuck in your ways if you're here in America constantly putting down what really is the world greatest sport. And I love the Browns and I love football here in America, but you get outside of the United States, you'll quickly find out that soccer rules, that football rules, and America, NFL is great, but it isn't what it is to the rest of the world. And so maybe you get out of your own way. If you're an American, hey, I'm a proud American too. And the United States plays, I think, later tomorrow, their second game. I think they play Australia, so good luck to them. They really got out of the gate very, very well, did some really good things, and so looking forward to seeing how they do in this next game. But um, good job to all the teams in the World Cup. Good luck on your the rest of the way. I was a little disappointed that Portugal got tied. I'm kind of rooting for Portugal a little bit on the side as well. Been over there, and then Messi for Argentina had a hat trick, 3 goals, some really good stuff there. All in all, just a great experience. Could encourage, like if you're in Kansas City or any of these cities, Toronto and you're a soccer fan, try to get out there and watch one of these games. So, all right, folks, I hope you have a very good rest of your Thursday, wherever you're at. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope the weather's great. Get out, go to the pool like I'm doing here in a few minutes. And we'll catch up with you soon. Later tonight, we have the Fanatical Elves show. I'll be on again with Steve Gill and maybe Sam the Man, Rod Bloom, and his brother Jeff will be bringing you the Browns Blitz. And I'll have another coffee jolt with me, Johnny Cleveland, tomorrow morning, Friday. So look forward to that. Until next time, take care. Go Browns. Go Cleveland. Talk to you soon. And, oh, I always forget this. Keep smiling.